Right, okay guys, welcome to another sort of my 10 favourites, and this is on the Commodore Amiga, and I'm looking at fighting and kind of beat 'em up type games. Now before I start, I've got to express that this is not the best 10 beat 'em ups on the Commodore Amiga, far from it. I did get rid of my Amiga quite early on into its life. I mean, I had moved on to PC by about 1993, 1994. And I know there was a lot of good games came out since then, and like I said, this is a list of the 10 games, the 10 beat 'em up fighting games that I played most when I had my Amiga. Some are pish, some are excellent. It's just the games that I played and not the best ones. So I just want to make that clear, because I had a few people sort of saying, well, you've missed this one, you've missed that one. This is just a list of games that I played back in the day. So kick things off, yep, you can see Barbarian. An absolute classic game. I did buy this on the C64. Wasn't a massive fan of it, to be honest. I was never that impressed with the graphics. Also, it looked a bit messy. But then this game, I got the Atari ST and then I got the Amiga afterwards. And as much as the graphics haven't really improved much, they look a wee bit clearer, less kind of cluttered looking, but they're not really that much better, and animation's not that much better either. For me, it was all about the sound in this. Now we could have proper sound effects, though I'm not quite sure where they get the head chopping sound effect from. I'm guessing they probably sampled a watermelon or something getting chopped, something like that. Here's hoping anyway. But a great beat 'em up. Loved it to bits. Could never get far in it. The atmosphere was terrific, especially when the wee green goblin kicks the severed head off. So yeah, fantastic game, great game in all systems. That is the mighty Barbarian by Palace Software. Now next up is some extremely dodgy fashion wear. It was the 90s, of course. Yeah, some of the game covers in the 90s games were absolutely abysmal. President Ronnie, now we can't think who that's based on. This is Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, or was it just known as Dragon Ninja, or was it known as Bad Dudes? I can't remember. I think it was known as Dragon Ninja, and then there was Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, something like that. They changed the name in America. Now, I like this game. It wasn't, you know, it's a wee bit clunky. The sound effects are sparse. I mean, but again, they're making good use of the sampled abilities, or the sampling abilities of the Amiga. What I liked about this game was the graphics were really big. It did look like the arcade version. Not that I ever got to see the arcade version until years later, when I eventually got the wonderful MAME. I mean, you can see there's you're lucky if there's 3 frames of animation. You know, technically wise, it's not the greatest game, but it was good fun. It did a fair representation of the game. And quite importantly, it plays nice and fast as well. Yeah, look at that. It's just literally flicking between him standing and kicking. There's really no... Wait a minute, does that guy... Did he not get his own game, that big baldy guy? What was it called again? Karnov. Yeah, Karnov. What, was he not... You mean baddie? Or possibly I'm just thinking it's because he's a generic bald muscle man. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, the 90s were all about big muscles and vests, and you know, it was the Die Hard era. It was in the cinema we had Rambo and Rocky and, you know, Die Hard and Commando. So yeah, it was all about big muscular characters. You don't really get quite so much. You don't get that quite so much now. Hey, what's interesting? You're on top of a lorry, and yet people can just mill about quite happily down below and walk. Even though you're on a speeding lorry. He looks quite vicious. Oh, sod. But yeah, this was quite a good port of the arcade. You know, I played it a lot, and I think you could also play simultaneous 2 players, which was always nice. So that is Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Right, this one, Ninja Mission, this, as you can see, it was a budget release by Mastertronic. Now, normally budget releases are going to be absolute pish, but this bucked the trend. I played this game an awful lot. What did I like about it? You know, it played well. It was quite a simplistic game. You know, you basically walk left to right, taking on different adversaries. The animation's pretty good as well. It was really playable. I think this game actually was Mastertronic actually brought out an arcade system, and I think this was one of the games that actually appeared in arcades. Although I can't imagine that many in existence now, but I think it was just a Commodore Amiga actually. Not a lot of moves at your disposal, but I say the animation in this was actually really good. This was kinda what Way of the Exploding Fist 2 should have been. It tried to do it, but it was just a bit clunky. And that was quick. Pick up the stars, pick up the lanterns, I don't know what they do. But yeah, I think this game was $9.99. I remember getting it at the time and not expecting much. That's got to be the slowest flying bird ever. And it's not even that far away. You can see that it's flying in front of the little shrine thing. How did I manage that? I had a sword there for a second. Not quite sure how I managed to do that. But yeah, this was really fast. This is really playable. Good fun. Never did complete it. I got quite far in it, I think. It reminds me very much of Karateka as well. Where did I go? Right, I've been here. And there's some sort of door. I can't remember, it's been about it's been about 25 years since I last played this. Ah, hang on, there we go. Jump through a little hole in the ceiling into the entrance hall. But yeah, it's got a basic game, it's an early game, and see now it gets a wee bit more difficult, you're now fighting two people. But it really satisfied the want to be a ninja for me. You know, ninjas were very sellable back in the 90s and 80s. So yeah, that's Ninja Mission. Right, I couldn't not include this one. I didn't play this game all that often because I just found it too difficult. But that's more to do with me rather than the game. I mean, this is a fantastic game. I've got to say, this is probably about the best beat 'em up on the Amiga. What I say is, I was going through the list of beat 'em ups. I was slightly underwhelmed at just how few good beat 'em ups there are. They're saying that again, like I said earlier on, it's quite possible that there were better beat 'em ups that came after I had got rid of my Amiga. This is, I got rid of mine in 1993. I mean, as I was going through the list, there was some games I'd never heard of that came out in 1997, and you know, so I'm guessing they were probably better beat 'em ups. But this game is fantastic. I mean, Archer McLean did an absolutely cracking job in this. It's just so arcade-like. And again, you can play two players simultaneous. And this game had an absolute ton of little cheat modes. I think if you press T, his trousers would fall down. Lots of different things like that. And sound effects were awesome as well. There's some nice little touches as well. You get this sort of little worms and that in the background. I think you get fish jumping into the water, stuff like that. Do you get a bull later on, or is that Exploding Fist I'm thinking of? I think it's Exploding Fist. Yeah. Some great sound effects. I mean, I played Street Fighter 2 quite a bit, but you know, to be fair, it wasn't a good version. There's a little Pac-Man, I just noticed that. Yeah, Street Fighter 2, little spider in the background. It wasn't a particularly good version at all. It was constant disc swapping as well, and it was pretty slow. But that is one of the finest beat 'em ups on the Amiga. That is International Karate Plus. This one, the Karate Kid Part 2. This was one of the early games, one of the first games I got for the 16-bit. It had been the Atari ST at the time, and going from the Commodore 64 to this was like my window into a new technology. You know, sampled sound effects, graphics like this. I mean, yeah, this. Well, I was going to say this could probably have been done in a C64. It probably could have. It wouldn't have looked quite so nice. I mean, some nice detailed backgrounds, but I'm sure the C64 could have done a really good version. In fact, is there a version of this for the C64? I'm not quite sure. But the animation in this is excellent. It's super smooth. And obviously the Karate Kid film itself was really big, so it was quite a special thing to suddenly have a game that was, you know, based on a film. I know we had the Ocean games, but I loved the Karate Kid films, and so having been able to play the part of a ninja, though sadly it doesn't really seem to lend itself much to the game at all. I mean, you're just playing a generic kung fu artist. But it was one of the earliest games that I got for the Amiga, and it was like, wow, you know. You always remember the early stuff, whether it's music, games, whatever, girlfriends. So yeah, this was a game that I was very, very fond of. It actually plays really well. Again, you can see that all the early games, they all used the sampled speech. And you see, that's kind of more in keeping with Karate Kid. That looks like sort of like a background, but again, you're just playing a sort of generic fighter rather than Daniel. Ah, remember this. Yes, you basically got to try and smash the ice, and you do that by building up the speed and pressing the fire button. You broke 0. Oh, okay. Now this was in the film. I don't know how many I smashed there. Not very many. Yeah, that's Karate Kid. Next one is Panzer Kickboxing. I didn't play this one all that often, but I think it was just because I found it very, very difficult. Right, if it's ever going to start, here we go. Now this was by Panzer Kickboxing. This was by, what was the name of the company? Was it L'Oréal CL? It was a French company. And interestingly with this game is, you know, pressing left doesn't make you walk left, it actually makes you kick. I don't know why that's not interesting at all. I don't know why. I don't even know why I said that. I should edit it out, but I can't be bothered. But yeah, this is actually really good. It's quite a violent sort of game. There doesn't appear to be any sort of like energy or anything like that to kind of give you an indication as to how you're doing. I think that's probably a good thing, putting them down on the ground like so. But there is actually a lot of different moves depending on what way you're pressing the joystick with the fire button. And the animation's really good. But I did play it, but I just found it too difficult. know this game does get pretty good reviews. It's quite a sort of deep beat 'em up. You know, it is rated very, very highly. It's probably worth putting a bit of time into it, but the animation's excellent. When you think it's all sort of hand-drawn graphics back then. You can really feel these kicks connecting, smashing bones. Yeah, anyway, that is excellent. That is Panzer Kickboxing. Right, next up is Final Fight. I couldn't miss this one off. Now, like a lot of people, I was super excited when I realised I could play this game on the Commodore Amiga. And graphically wise, yeah, it's up there. It does look really nice. It's fast. It's got nice big graphics. But I don't know what it was. It just always felt lacking. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because you've only got the one fire button. You know, when you compare it, I mean, you know, in hindsight now, I've got the luxury of having this on, you know, the Mega Drive, the SNES. Heck, I can even play the arcade version in MAME now, and it's quite a poor version in my opinion. I mean, I think you had simultaneous 2 players. But I have played this game quite a bit. I wouldn't say too extensively, but I have played it a fair bit in arcades, or on MAME I should say. And it just feels a bit, I don't know, just not as good. It says graphically wise it looks nice. And I did play it a fair bit. I don't know, it's hard to really put my finger on just what's missing. Is there lacky music? Was there music in the arcades? I can't actually remember, you know that. I mean, I know the SNES one was kind of, it wasn't panned, but it was criticised because you could only, I don't think you could play 2 players, and there was only, was it 2, I think Hager, I don't think he was there, you could only play the 2 young guys. So there was one of the fighters missing, but whereas this one has them all. But I don't know. I did play it a lot because, you know, back in whenever it was 1993 or something, we didn't have MAME. It didn't exist. I didn't have a Mega Drive or SNES. So this was the only way I could possibly play Final Fight, and it was nice at the time. But looking at it now, I'm not overly impressed. But that's Final Fight. Right, next up is one of the best kind of one-in-one beat 'em up series, Body Blows. Now there was I think there was Body Blows. Was there Body Blows 2, Body Blows Galactic? I think there was maybe at least 3, possibly 4 different Body Blows. I think there was one came out for the CD32. This was basically the Amiga's version of Street Fighter 2. They've gone for their sort of generic, you know, different characters. I mean, it plays really well, sounds good, graphics are really good. I think the big thing for me, I mean, I was never a big beat 'em up fan anyway, but I think the big thing for me that makes it difficult for a good beat 'em up to be in the Amiga, certainly a Street Fighter 2 type one, is down to the fact that there's only one fire button. It's always going to be very, very difficult to really pull off a good beat 'em up using a joystick with one fire button. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, stuff like VR Kung Fu managed it, but that was based on an arcade game. They'll say that did have 2 buttons, but on the home versions it only had the one. But yeah, I think this was definitely better than Street Fighter on the Amiga, Street Fighter 2 on the Amiga. We'll not even talk about Street Fighter on the Amiga. It was absolutely diabolical. I do have a video all about how bad it is. But Street Fighter 2 on the Amiga wasn't the greatest game, wasn't the smoothest, had a lot of discs, plenty of disc swapping. But yeah, the Body Blows sort of franchise was really good. Not quite as good as your SNES Street Fighter 2, but You know, it was the best we were going to get in Amiga. Some nice moves, excellent graphics, excellent sound. So that is Body Blows. Right, this one, I remember this when I was going through the list. I thought, bloody hell, I've forgotten about this game. The Way of the Little Dragon. Obviously, an image of Bruce Lee there at the very start. Yeah, I remember this game. Yeah, it looks a bit shit now, I have to say. But again, as I said, this is not the best or worst games. This is the beat-em-ups I played back in the day. This game appealed to me because, I says, we couldn't get enough ninja films, and your Jean-Claude Van Damme's and all that sort of stuff, your Steven Seagals. So to be able to actually play a game that, you know, it's going to look this good. I mean, the graphics are alright, but it's got proper sound. I'm sure all these sound effects were probably ripped out of Enter the Dragon or something. It's pretty basic. There seems to be relatively few actual moves you can do. But I did play this quite a lot. I think this was a budget game again. Can't remember how much it was. Probably about £10, because that seemed to be the sort of the price band for a budget game. Certainly in the early days anyway. But it looked the part and it sounded the part, and I could not get enough. Yeah, looking at it now, it does look pretty woeful, but you know, it was 1987 after all. And it's easy to be critical of these games, you know, when you're sitting here with, you know, 50 odd systems upstairs and 60,000 access to all the systems on a computer. Right, let's go for one more go. It looks like Donald Trump you're fighting, actually, a rather slimmer version. Yeah, it's woefully shallow, but it was, I says, back in 1987, it was enormous fun. I don't think, oh no, you could play, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you could play 2 players. I can't remember ever playing this in 2 player. It was always about trying to see how far you could get. But you know, the sound effects were a big thing. You take away the sound effects, then this would be half the game. But anyway, that is, what was it again? The Way of the Little Dragon. So, very last one we have, and it's not a beat 'em up, it's a hack and slash, because I was struggling for beat 'em ups, and this is basically a beat 'em up of sorts. This is Sword of Sodan. Again, this was one of the very first games I got for the Amiga, and I remember my jaw hit the floor when I played this game. The graphics were just unbelievable, you know. Yep, looking at it now you're thinking they're shit, but you need to understand, to go from Commodore 64 blocky graphics to something like this with massive sprites which are taking up like 3/4 of the screen. Just incredible. It had blood, it had it had blood and gore, it had sampled speech. It was really shallow. You jump, you can do 2 types of slash. You can do stab them in the midriff, or you can hit them across the head. And I think that was about it. You know, it was really shallow game, but I loved this game. And some of the levels later on, there's a zombie level. I don't think I'm going to get to that today, but there's a zombie level, and it was really atmospheric, amazing sound. But all this sort of stuff, this was just kind of showing off. But you know, this was the kind of thing that we loved. You know, you couldn't get enough of things like this. Your mate was playing his Spectrum and you were showing him something like this with the graphics. I like the sound effects, kind of walking across the bridge. it's got a bit of sort of parallax scrolling as well, which is quite nice. Some notable exceptions in this list: Shadow Dancer, loved that to bits. I didn't have Shinobi, I never had that for the Amiga I don't think, although it was out, but Shadow Dancer was excellent, I should say. There was also a game, was it Amiga Karate? I'm sure I played an ST called ST Karate, funnily enough, then they brought out a version and called it Amiga Karate. I'm sure I played that quite a bit as well, but I couldn't find that. But of all the genres of game, and again I'm not talking about the more modern Amiga games because, you know, I'd got rid of my Amiga at that point, but this was probably one of the least well supported. I mean, when it came to shoot 'em ups and driving games, you know, the Amiga had them by the bucketful, especially driving games. But the beat 'em ups and that kind of stuff, they weren't quite so popular. But again, it says it may have been down to the fact that it only had one fire button, I'm not quite sure. But the big graphics of this game were just incredible. So if you hang about too long, these things just shoot up. So I need to make a run for it here. Go! You couldn't do that in the Spectrum or Commodore 64. A bit of Donkey Kong flung in. But I always remember playing this thinking it was actually quite realistic looking. Maybe just because the characters are so big and had speech as well, you know. But there is a zombie level later on, you go through a graveyard and it is mega atmospheric. Excellent. So then listen guys, that is it. That is my 10 most played Amiga beat 'em up fighting games. So as usual guys, thank you very much for watching.